The iPhone Air delivers remarkable performance in a super thin and light design that's very durable. I especially like getting A19 Pro power in something this compact, but you have to make some trade-offs for the steep $1,000 price. You get only a single rear camera, which means no telephoto zoom, ultra-wide or macro shots. And while the Air's battery life is solid, it's a few hours behind the iPhone 17 Pro Max. The iPhone Air represents the first major shakeup to the iPhone family in years. The Air replaces the iPhone 16 Plus in Apple's lineup, but it really stands on its own as a completely new device. In fact, the iPhone Air really feels like a blueprint for the future as Apple nears the 20th anniversary of the original iPhone. Measuring 5.6mm, the iPhone Air is the thinnest phone in the world that's not a foldable, and yet it feels very sturdy thanks to its titanium frame. I have literally tried to bend and break this handset and it stayed intact. The Air doesn't skimp on performance either, packing an A19 Pro chip for playing demanding games and taking advantage of Apple intelligence. So what's the catch with this super slim Air? There's only a single camera, and while the battery life is pretty solid for something this size, you get less endurance versus the iPhone 17 Pro models. But it might still be the best phone for you, depending on what you are looking for. Here is the pros and cons in my full iPhone Air review. The iPhone Air starts at $1,000 for 256 GB of storage. That's $100 more than the iPhone 16 Plus, but Apple is betting that you will be willing to pay a premium for a phone that's this slim and portable. There is just one problem. The iPhone 17 Pro starts at $1,099, which is just $100 more for a phone with triple cameras, a bigger battery, and an A19 Pro chip with an extra GPU core and vapor chamber cooling for better sustained performance. So you should really think about whether this stunning design is worth it. The iPhone Air has a release date of September 19. The iPhone Air is so thin and light that you are worried for its safety when you see it from across the room, but you will feel reassured when you put it in your hands. Measuring just 5.64mm thin, the iPhone Air edges out the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge for the thinnest phone we have tested. The Air is so thin, in fact, that you might forget it's in your front pocket. Well, the whole device isn't this thin. The plateau or camera bump runs across the top of the device and jutes out. At least it doesn't wobble on a table when you press down. Apple purposely crammed all the major components into this area to make room for a larger battery down below. The iPhone Air comes in sky blue, cloud white, light gold, and black. Frankly, the black color makes the design look cheap and not as thin. I prefer the sky blue model I tested, which does a better job of showing off the Air's thin profile. Some have complained that the titanium frame is too shiny, but I don't agree. If you are worried about the durability for a phone this thin, I think you can rest easy. I saw a demo that simulated a band with 130 pounds of force, and the iPhone Air shrugged it off. To further fortify the iPhone Air, Apple equipped the phone with a Ceramic Shield 2 display with 3x the scratch resistance of the previous technology and the Ceramic Shield back that's 4x more crack resistant than glass. It is worth noting that the iPhone Air has a single speaker integrated into the earpieces compared to dual speakers for the iPhone 17 and 17 Pro series. During my testing, the Air's speakers got plenty loud when listening to Apple Music, but it did sound tiny at max volume. Some have shared in our YouTube interview with Apple on the iPhone Air that they wish that this phone came in a mini size. I say there is no need, you get the best of both worlds with this device, a large 6.5-inch display in a very pocket-friendly size. And it's a pretty damn good ProMotion screen 2 with a rated maximum outdoor brightness of 3000 nits, a 1 to 120Hz refresh rate, and anti-reflection tech built in. Outdoors, I put the iPhone Air up against the Galaxy S25 Edge, playing the same Begonia trailer, and Emma's tone looked brighter, plus there was less glare. The iPhone Air didn't perform quite well as in our lab testing, covering less of the DCI-P3 color space and turning in a slightly worse Delta E accuracy score. The iPhone Air features a single 48 megapixel fusion camera with 2x optical quality zoom. No telephoto, no ultra-wide, but it is a pretty strong performer based on my testing. Just don't expect much more from the 10x digital zoom. The iPhone Air does bring some cool new camera features to the table that are also available on the iPhone 17, 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max. This includes an 18 megapixel center stage front camera that leverages a square sensor to let you shoot landscape selfies without having to flip the phone in your hand. Here are some camera samples of the new iPhone Air. Packing an A19 Pro chip, the iPhone Air promises Pro-like performance in a very skinny frame, and I say Pro-like because you are limited to 5 GPU cores compared to 6 for the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. I enjoyed smooth performance when playing Destiny Rising, double jumping and using my grenade launcher on multiple enemies while enjoying crisp graphics. I only noticed a drop frame here and there versus the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Speaking of twice, the iPhone Air having one less GPU core does impact benchmark scores. It reached 29.5 FPS in the demanding 3D Mark Solar Bay Unlimited graphics test compared to 46.6 FPS for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. The Galaxy S25 Edge also turned in a higher frame rate. On Geekbench, which measures overall performance, the iPhone Air beats the Galaxy S25 Edge and it finished our video transcoding test 20 seconds faster. How about sustained performance? To test that, we used the 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme Stress Test, which simulates gaming for about 20 minutes. We ran it once and recorded the result, then did a second run right after that to really stress test these phones. The iPhone Air performed quite well, with stability score that beat the Galaxy S25 Edge by a fair margin in both rounds. More surprisingly, the iPhone Air turned in cooler temperatures than the Pro Max when we measured the back of the phones using the laser thermometer in 5 locations and averaged the result, though the S25 Edge was even cooler. Here's the big questions on everyone's mind. How good or bad is the iPhone Air's battery life? Apple claims all-day battery life, but we decided to put that to the test in a couple of ways. First up was our battery test, which surfs the web over 5G at 150 nits of screen brightness. The iPhone Air turned in a decent 12 hours. That's nearly a half hour better than the Galaxy S25 Ultra, and the regular iPhone 17 lasted 45 minutes longer. However, the iPhone 17 Pro Max lasted over 5 hours longer than the iPhone Air, so if you really care about endurance, the choice is clear. I also compared the iPhone Air's battery life versus other phones when streaming the same YouTube video over Wi-Fi for 5 hours at 50% screen brightness. The iPhone Air was down to 81%, which is better than the Galaxy S25 Edge's 67%. Note that Apple sells a $99 MagSafe Battery Pack for the iPhone Air that's designed to deliver 65% more power. The iPhone Air puts most of its components in the plateau towards to the top of the device, and this is the area that got fairly warm during my testing. For example, after playing Asphalt Legends for 10 minutes, I measured this area and it got as hot as 106 and 109 degrees. Playing the same game on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, the temperature was in the 96-degree range. When performing other tasks, the iPhone Air mostly kept it cool, so your results will depend on the apps you are using. Like all the new iPhones, the iPhone Air comes with iOS 26 pre-installed, and there is some features worth getting excited about. There is the new liquid glass design, which adds sleek looking transparency effects to various apps, and I also like how you can better customize your lock and home screens with 3D like spatial photos. Major feature upgrades for iOS 26 come to the phone app in particular. There is a hold assist for letting your iPhone stay on hold of you until a human comes to the phone, and call screening will help keep scammers away. I also appreciate the ability to add backgrounds to messages as well as add polls. Apple Intelligence just isn't that exciting right now as we wait for the new Siri to be fully bagged coming in 2026, but there are some noteworthy AI upgrades. For example, with visual intelligence, you can easily look up anything in a screenshot via Google, such as that new pair of shoes that caught your eye, and you can also ask questions about whatever on your screen via ChatGPT. However, this feature feels like it involves too many steps versus Gemini Live, which analyzes your screen without having to take a screenshot, and you can have a live voice conversation with Google's Assistant at the same time. I am torn about the iPhone Air as its remarkable piece of engineering. This design is amazingly thin and light, and Apple deserves serious credit for making it so durable. It feels so strong, I don't think I would bother with a case. I also like how well the iPhone Air performs. No, it doesn't have the graphics might or sustained performance of the iPhone 17 Pro or Pro Max, but it's faster than the Galaxy S25 Edge and remains fairly cool under pressure, and it offers better sustained performance than Samsung's slim phone. However, I don't like the shoppers have to give up both an ultra-wide lens and telephoto zoom with the iPhone Air. At least Samsung gives you an ultra-wide camera that enables macro photography, but the iPhone Air's main 48 megapixel camera is very good overall. Apple left some other features on the cutting room floor as well, as such as fast charging and cinematic mode for video, so in sometimes the Air feels more like an iPhone Lite. Overall, I think the iPhone Air is worth buying for those who want a super slim phone that's very easy to carry, that doesn't sacrifice too much on performance, but you will have to live with some trade-offs if you want something this compact.